Joining us now is Representative Pete Sessions. He's a Republican of Texas. He serves on oversight and government reform as well as financial services. Representative Sessions, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Mimi.
I wanted to start with the speech last night that President Trump gave in Pennsylvania, talking about his economic agenda. Could you talk about the specific policies that the president should enact, in your opinion, that would ease voters' anxieties about affordability?
Well, I think that there are several factors here. And by the way, I appreciated what Jim Costa said here just before you. Jim is a sound mind in not just his conference, but trying to move us forward economically. I think it's important that we remember that the president first saw the dangers against the American economy, which is why he spent several months trying to gain assurances from countries around the world that they would invest in America. As you know, BRICS, which is this combination of other countries around the world that decided that the American dollar was in trouble, that we could not pay our bills, that we were not a sound investment for not only their future, but for our own. And the president has rallied up what amounts to, he would have the better number than I, but about $6 trillion of guarantees of people who will invest in America. They're investing in America because we have a brighter future and a better way to not only lead the world to better outcomes, but in essence, it has translated itself into a stock market, into an investment opportunity for all Americans, not just their 401ks, but our future. And the president spent a great deal of time on that side of this equation, the equation that he's now engaged in and that we are, quite honestly, having to look at, and that is the cost of goods, the cost of goods. So he's taken care of, by and large, a strong employment opportunity. Now we have to shift our focus economically to the cost of goods and services.
And Congressman, there was just a $12 billion aid package to farmers announced on Monday, specifically as a result of the president's tariffs and the harms that have befallen farmers for that. Do you think that they should just, that the president should just reverse some of those tariff policies instead of trying to bail out farmers after the fact?
Well, in fact, we were really talking about consumers a minute ago, and I'd like to finish that. The consumer is going to find that they have a job, and now we're having to tackle the tariff issue. The tariff issue is not just important to the United States, it's important to all free countries around the globe. I was with a group of people from Turkey just 2 days ago, and they feel the pressure from China also. And so what we're trying to get the president to, perhaps now as we have seen the world adapted to this, is to take off the tariffs like on coffee. Coffee has risen 40% in 1 year. That was a direct result of the tariff. And so we do have to do these things. And so the $12 billion is to help a marketplace which is called Farmers and Ranchers, which is national security to us. Coming from an agricultural district, of course I'm for that. But in the longer term, we have to make sure that what we're doing is bringing better stability. And this is where there is that, once again, struggle that comes because we have workers that are in this economy that are not here legally. And so this is something the president knows and Secretary Noem knows she needs to focus on. We have to create a stability at the worker level, which is the cost level for things in agriculture. Obviously, we are at high noon an opportunity about what is coming to this country and how we're going to deal with the cost.
And what do you think is the solution, Congressman, on those agriculture workers that we do need for the industry, as opposed to balancing that with, not wanting illegal immigrants working in this country?
Well, it is a difficult issue. President Bush dealt with this issue many years ago, and we came up with a good solution for what was known as ICE, and that would be that they would understand what our attempts would be to tackle the issue. I believe that a worker in this country is important, and a worker, as opposed to someone that is drawing government benefits, not going to work, someone who is a criminal, the background checks is important for this administration to focus on. Focus on the worker. And we have plenty of people who've come to this country in the last 3 or 4 years, not this year, but who are here and they're undocumented and they need to be focused on. But the worker who is at many of these agricultural sites, the government needs to come in, and Republicans need to be smart enough, including Secretary Noem, to recognize we have to have a way to keep our workers in the system and yet give them the opportunity as a worker for Social Security to still be a part of that equation, and the worker, so that we're not taking advantage of them. These are things we're attempting to work with the administration, and I think we will. We need to focus ICE on the activities of those who've come here in the last few years, not upon a worker that is working hard every day trying to make our economy go.
And regarding the Affordable Care Act subsidies, the enhanced subsidies set to expire at the end of this month, do you support any extension of those subsidies?
Well, what do I support? I support that my party still, after all these years, needs to come up with a plan as a member of Congress and people who work for an employer that have employer-provided health care receive a subsidy also. That subsidy comes in the form of receiving their health care on a pre-tax basis. We do worry about the 20 million people on the Affordable Care Act, but we also care about the other 120 million Americans that need an opportunity to receive similar benefits, and that is to receive their health care on a pre-tax basis. So the question is about the ACA. I spent 7 years on, quote, the Affordable Care Act. During that period of time, my contribution and the cost was about $28,000. And I never used my actual insurance plan because my deductible was $7,000. We need to make sure that there is an option for people that would see going to a similar model as employer-provided health care, where the health care provider would be reimbursed almost double, which would allow these families, instead of sitting at an office all day or going to a hospital, which is the most expensive, to receive their health care, they could actually have the benefits like someone who works for the largest companies in America. And it would require that they, to have this, would receive the benefit of a subsidy that would equal about 40%. And it would give them an opportunity to pay in the other 60. That would be about $1,000 a month for a family of 4. Now you'd say, Pete, where does that come from? It comes from their ability to make sure that they join into the American dream. I am worried about this. We are going to find an answer, and that is exactly what House Republicans are in the middle of.
Will we find an answer before the end of the month?
I believe you will see that the plan comes out. Will it pass this month? No. Will it be available to people to go home and discuss this with people and make sure the consumer understands it? Yes.
And finally, Congressman Sessions, on those boat strikes in the Caribbean, do you think the Pentagon should release the full video of that controversial double tap attack?
Well, let's go to the big issue. What should America be doing in this regard? The Biden administration, the Obama administration did same or similar attacks against boats. They just did not let people really know about it. The Trump administration wants to put them all out where the people can see this. This has meant that the Intelligence Committee that has known this has been going on for a number of years, it is now front and center on them. I think there should be full disclosure by this administration to the Intelligence Committee to where on a bipartisan basis they feel comfortable about, well, not just about the rules of engagement, but the knowledge of what is happening. We have had 100,000 Americans that die each year. That's
so Congressman,
100,000.
just specifically on the question of that one specific video, you want it released only to committee and not to the American public?
I think that this committee would have an opportunity to see it and to change, if they would choose, that policy that's related to it. I tend not to put all the videos out. That we have strong bipartisan agreement in Washington that both sides should know the exact story.
All right, that's Representative Pete Sessions, Republican of Texas. Thanks so much for joining us today.
You bet.